Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. This is Sci Prime Productions. I'm a new YouTube channel, so please bear with me as I figure things out. Today I thought I'd just do a fun little completely unscripted video where I am going to go through a tier list of the Pathfinder 2e Remaster Ancestries. So I've got the Ancestries right here. I've set them all up. I am not including the versatile heritages like half-orc or half-elf. I'm just including the base Ancestries. So we're going to get into it today. All right, for Elf. Elf I actually used to rank pretty low. Back when they didn't have the variant attribute rule that gave you +2 to any 2 attribute for any ancestry. Because they used to have a penalty to Constitution and only 6 starting hit points, which I thought was pretty bad. However, they do have a really fantastic heritage called the Ancient Elf, which gives you a free archetype at level 1, even though archetypes are normally only available at level 2. It does have to be a class archetype, but this actually really opens up a lot of great potential. If you're a wizard or a witch or anything that doesn't start off with armor proficiency, you can pick up the rogue heritage, the Ancient Elf heritage for the rogue archetype that gives you light armor proficiency and 2 skills. You can also pick up, if you have sufficient charisma, the champion dedication, which gives you light, medium, and heavy armor proficiency. There's just some really fantastic elf stuff you can do. Now that you don't have to take a hit to your con, they're really fantastic. I'm going to put them up in A tier. They also start off with base speed of 30, which is great. Low light vision, all around really solid. Human, it's probably going to come to no surprise. Humans go in S tier. You wouldn't think it because their base ancestry abilities are just nothing. They're just common, one other language, and no low light vision or anything. But they just get some real just fantastic heritages and ancestry feats, including things like the ability to just get 2 general feats at level 1, to get a class feat at level 1, which a lot of races don't get a class feat at level 1. A lot of builds just require humans because of the class feat at level 1 is such a huge bonus. So yeah, I have to go in S tier. Leshies. Leshies used to be uncommon. Now they are common in the player core 1. Leshies have some interesting stuff in them. A great thing about them is that as long as they've got soil and sunlight for at least an hour a day, they don't need to eat food. Their rations are more expensive if you're dungeon delving, though, so that kind of cancels each other out. There's some pretty good heritages in Leshies. There's one that lets you grow a fruit once a day that heals people. That's always great. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put them down in C tier. They just don't have anything super mechanically awesome that stands out to me. I will say that all of these tiers here in my book are really close together. The difference between like S and A tier are splitting hairs. There's even not much of a difference between S and D tiers. So, I mean, pretty good stuff. None of these ancestries are unplayable in any way. They're just kind of very slight variations. Halfling. Halfling, also like human, you might think is pretty low. They don't have low light vision. They're small. They do have a speed of 25 feet, which is the same as most other races, so that's good. But halflings have 2 ancestry and heritage abilities that are just phenomenal. One is the ability to go through underbrush and not treat it as difficult terrain. That's just a phenomenal heritage. There's, of course, the one that everybody talks about where they can once per day reroll a 1 on a saving throw, which is also just a great way to avoid dying terribly to a bad roll. I'm going to put them up in B tier. because they don't really have much beyond those two things, but those two things are really good. Gnome. I actually really like gnomes in Pathfinder. They're the only ancestry that starts off with 3 languages that I know of: Gnome, Sylvan, and Common. They also have some pretty great ancestry feats and heritages. They can get some extra bonus languages without needing the society skill. The Gnome Obsession ancestry feat actually gives you effectively 2 additional lore feats. So that's great if you're playing in a campaign and you know what lores are going to come up a lot. They used to, again, be down in B tier because they take a hit to their strength, but not anymore with the variant attribute rules. So I'm going to put them up in A tier. Orcs. Orcs start off with a nice beefy 10 hit points, and they can actually start off with 12 if you choose the right heritage. They're also just really good at surviving. There's some orc ancestry feats that help them get like die hard. There's of course the one where they can stay up if they get to 0, they instead go to 1 once per day, but that increases their wounded level. They have dark vision. I'm going to put them in C tier. They don't have anything really that stands out as really great, but they're certainly not bad. They're certainly playable. Goblins. Goblins have probably one of the more goblins are one of the more derisive ancestries. Some put them up in A tier because of the Burn It ancestry feat, which lets them do additional fire damage. So if you want to just pump out as much fire damage as possible with like a fire kineticist, which may work depending on some of the rules, may not. I'm not going to get into that here. Or if you want to be like a fire sorcerer or an alchemist that throws fire bombs, Burn It and the Goblin ancestry feat is fantastic. I personally don't like Burn It too much. I think it's a bit overvalued. There's a lot of enemies that have fire resistance or are immune to fire. And other than Burn It, there's a few things they have. Goblin Scuttle is nice. It lets you move. If an enemy moves adjacent to you, you can move away from the enemy as a reaction. That helps you set up flanking maneuvers, which is great. I can't really see myself putting them higher than C tier, though. They're just not that great in my personal opinion. Lastly, are dwarves. Dwarves are one might think one of the worst. A lot of people would put them down in D tier because they're slow. They only have a 20-foot move speed. However, they also have dark vision, which is nice. And they have a bunch of really good heritage and ancestry feats. My personal opinion, Unburdened Iron, which basically means that they're not slowed down by heavy armor, is just a phenomenal ancestry feat. It's great. It turns dwarves into moving just as fast as anybody else in heavy armor. It also there's also a dwarven feat that gives them 1 extra hit point per level, and that stacks with a toughness feat, which they're the only people who get to do that. So I'm actually going to run this all the way up to A tier for me. Dwarves, solid race, or solid ancestry. All right, that's it for the tier maker. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, this was just a fun little short video I decided to do because a friend suggested it. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. You may not know this, but YouTube tracks if you actually finish a video or not, so thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you want to see more of this content, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. If you do, you'll tell both me and YouTube that you want to see more of this type of content. Thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!